The drama of survival and embarrassing defeat for the Giants in Africa football we experienced on Monday at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. Welcome once again to Sports Catalog as we take you to each match played, which are Nigeria vs Guinea-Bissau, Ivory Coast vs Equatorial Guinea, Ghana vs Mozambique, Cape Verde vs Egypt. It was a relatively sluggish start from Nigeria, but they took a narrow lead into the break. Moses Simon played the ball across the face of goal and, with Victor Osimhen lurking at the back post waiting for a tap-in, Opa Sanganti smashed it into his own net. In an open second half, Osimhen went close on a number of occasions to getting himself on the score sheet, having one goal ruled out for handball after he scored from a yard out, and then heading wide when free 6 yards out. The Super Eagles had the best of the chances, with Osimhen the constant threat, and they had 2 goals disallowed, both due to handballs by the Napoli centre-forward. But Guinea-Bissau, who knew they were out even before kick-off, put in a strong showing and caused Nigeria plenty of problems, having a goal of their own by Frankielino Ju chalked off for a tight offside. The result means that Nigeria go straight through to the round of 16, although progress as runners-up behind Equatorial Guinea, leaving the Super Eagles to face the second-placed team in Group C, which will be one of Cameroon, Senegal, or Guinea. Nigeria may be through to the next round, but this was not a performance that will silence the critics. The Super Eagles really struggled to control the game against a Guinea-Bissau team who are ranked outside the top 100 teams in the world, and often left their star striker Osimhen pretty isolated up top. Ivory Coast are on the verge of making a shock early exit from their home Africa Cup of Nations. The 2023 tournament hosts face an anxious wait now this week to see if there is any possibility of still reaching the last 16 after falling to a humiliating 4-0 loss at the hands of Equatorial Guinea as Group A drew to a stunning conclusion on Monday night. Emilionsu scored 2 goals to take his tournament tally to 5, and Pablo Gannett and Yannick Baila added 2 more as the country of 1.6 million swept aside the home team with a sensational result. The former Spanish colony finished top with 7 points, ahead of second-placed qualifiers Nigeria on goal difference. Ivory Coast could still go through to the knockout phase. The Ivorians dominated the first half chances, but were rusty in front of goal with Nicolas Pepe having the best effort before a solitary attack at the other end saw Nsu grab a simple finish in the 42nd minute to put the underdogs ahead at the break. Ivory Coast's Ibrahim Sangar and substitute Jean-Philippe Crasso did have the ball in the net, but both efforts were marginally offside. A brilliant curling free kick from Ghana extended their surprise lead in the 73rd, and 2 minutes later a breakaway saw Nsa make it 3-0 to the astonishment of the crowd at the Alassane Ouattara Olympic Stadium. Ivory Coast's humiliation was completed as substitute Bila's scuffed effort made it 4-0 for the heaviest defeat ever suffered by a Cup of Nations host. History repeated itself as Ghana's exit from the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations was virtually sealed by a late 2-2 draw with Mozambique in Abidjan. Jordan Ayew struck twice from the penalty spot to temporarily push the Black Stars above Egypt in Group B, who had fallen behind to Cape Verde in the other Group B game. However, just as they did against Comoros 2 years ago, Ghana let the Minnows back in and conceded stoppage-time goals to Jani Katamo's penalty and Reinildo Mondave's header, which combined with Egypt's draw to surely send them home. In the second half, Ghana sought to double their advantage. The pitch stayed calm for the Black Stars, but the Mambas attacked as only they know how. In injury time, they cut the deficit with a penalty at the 90+1 minute mark, and 3 minutes later, they leveled the score in the dying moments, crushing Ghana's hopes. Looking at the schedule for the third-place teams, it is so nearly official. Ghana will be out of the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations unless 3 results go their way. Cameroon must draw with Gambia, then Morocco must beat Zambia by a certain scoreline, and DR Congo must beat Tanzania. Egypt's point takes them through as Mozambique come from 2 goals down in stoppage time to draw 2-2 with Ghana, as both are eliminated. Cape Verde had already secured first place in Group B and were on course to make it 3 wins from as many games when Gilson Tavares Benchamal put them ahead just before halftime at Abidjan's Felix Houphouët-Boigny Stadium. But substitute Mahmoud Trezeguet equalized 5 minutes after the restart, and Mostafa Mohamed lobbed in a brilliant stoppage-time goal for Egypt, which was confirmed after a VAR check ruled out a handball. It was not the winner, with Brian Teixeira scoring Cape Verde's second goal 9 minutes into added time. Despite dominating the first half, Egypt went behind to a clinical Phineas H from Gilson Tavares just before the break. The halftime substitute Trezeguet equalized almost immediately with a beautifully worked goal, and Egypt pushed for the winner that would guarantee a place in the knockout stages. Mustafa Mohamed thought he was the hero for Egypt when he scored in stoppage time to put them 2-1 up over surprise group leaders Cabo Verde, but there was more drama to come as Brian Teixeira leveled in the 99th minute. In the end, both sides progressed to the last 16 due to Ghana being held to a 2-2 draw by Mozambique, with Cabo Verde top on 7 points and Egypt second after 3 draws. Mo Salah went through a gazillion emotions as he watched on from the sidelines, desperate for Egypt to reach the knockout stages. But there is now a major doubt whether Salah will play again in this year's competition, even if Egypt go all the way to the final. Monday's game concludes Group A play. Equatorial Guinea topped the table after a final 4-0 win over Côte d'Ivoire ran up their goal differential. Nigeria finished second. Both teams advanced to the knockout stage. Monday match was also the biggest loss at home for the Ivorians, who could do little right in the match. They left the pitch with an armed escort to deafening jeers from their own fans, but could yet get a reprieve if they finish as one of the 4 best third-placed finishers. Ghanaian players were scared of fans from attacks. The security advised the team bus to pull over and players should walk through the mixed zone route after the match. We continue to experience late comebacks in AFCON with exiting dramas, and a sports catalog continues to give you updates on CAF Africa Cup of Nations. Keep watching, share, like and comment as we meet again in another episode.